To begin, we come to a scene with utensils showing different times on a clock. I don't think the times on Okayu's clock mean anything. I think they just signify the passage of time. The food shown is mostly indulgent. The first two meals are at least somewhat healthy, but the last two aren't. As the clock turns, it matters less which way you turn the plate. The omelet is less varied than the many choices on the first dish, and the pizza is entirely symmetrical. That gives a sense that the consumer feels like they have fewer choices as time goes on. Their world is becoming more uniform. We come into the first verse with a Candyland scene. All the foods in the backdrop are sweet, with some fruit and some dessert. There is also a theme park, adding to the implication of enjoyment and a rosy outlook. The white cats with a purple tinge are a signifier of good luck, but taken in context with the rather negative lyrics, they could also be a sign of indulgence in this case. The cats may also be a representation of Okayu's cat form. In businesses, the left paw is raised to get more customers, and the right paw is raised to get more money. It's a beckoning gesture that looks like a wave to some Westerners, but it's really meant to draw people in. We see many of these cats throughout the song, which implies excess. We will also see Okayu herself perform this gesture many times throughout the song, beckoning with both hands. There are then onigiri and burglar outfits, one of which has a spot of mold, which seems to signify the robbing of flavor along with the mayonnaise. Considering the lyrics, mayonnaise is often considered something bland. Mayonnaise is a way of covering up both good and bad tastes. The theme there is dulling sensory experiences. Although this takes away negative experiences, it leaves the person without any satisfaction, which then turns the bland experience into something unpleasant. Here we come upon some bland crackers being consumed, continuing the prior theme. Next, we are presented with a glass that is full and a glass that is empty. However, neither of these are going to be satisfying. Either you can drink nothing, or you can drink crap. To some people called super tasters, cilantro in particular is a nasty flavor. The lyrics imply that the vocalist is trying to ignore this unpleasant reality and just continues to consume without really considering the negative quality of the things that they are eating. On top of that, it's a law, implying that the choice to ignore the nastiness will have serious consequences. We get a brief scene of seltzer, which has a cleansing quality, so that would be a moment of relief. We are then presented with a scene of increasing indulgence, with Okayu and a cat actually sleeping in their tea, totally ignoring what is happening. The scene behind them matches the chaos stated in the lyrics, with the treats moving faster than in the previous scene, which had a more relaxed quality. The tea is spilled amongst the treats, implying what is supposed to be a rude awakening. However, Okayu doesn't wake up. Then she gets shot at by soldiers and quickly dies, dropping her food at the end only to realize it is too late to do anything. Then we see the game over screen. Okayu's dismissal of the situation has resulted in a negative consequence. Information overload often causes people to become anxious and shut the world out. Spilling your tea on a menu would blur the words, which is akin to saying that the lies are being ignored. Mogu Mogu is an onomatopoeia for chewing, so Okayu is eating with us in the middle of a war, and despite being harmed, she blocks out what is going on to keep indulging in something nice. We see Okayu and a bunch of cats sitting on top of an ever more indulgent big cake. Some more rice balls run past this time, signifying the fleeting nature of the satisfaction they bring. Wine and champagne are alcohol, which is known to limit one's ability to think clearly and critically. It's yet another way to indulge in escapism. We then see Okayu eating a much bigger onigiri, which is someone continuing to delude themselves into believing it could be satisfying if they just had more of it. In general, evil mountain and river spirits cause people sickness and to lose their way. That goes along with the theme of complacency seen throughout the song. There is an urge to escape from your worries that makes people ill and leads them astray. The vocalist wishes for a future where they could be satisfied by their superficial cravings, but they never will be. They realize the world is ending, but continue to do nothing to stop it. Interestingly, Okayu's name itself is a contradiction. She's no normal cat girl. A Nekomata is a yokai, in this case a cat monster. This yokai comes in both mountain and domesticated forms. Both forms are capable of shape-shifting and eating people, although not all of them do. Okayu lives in an onigiri shop, so we'll just assume she's domesticated. The word Okayu, however, stands for Japanese rice pudding, which is often given to people when they are sick. Her name fits perfectly with the themes in this song. She is presenting you as something comforting, but she is a potentially deadly yokai. Here we see Okayu with a rather happy, carefree expression on her face. She flips upside down during the chorus, which to me signifies that the opposite feeling might be held under the surface. The lyrics tell me that she's saying the world is just fine as it is, with wonderful things to come, which is again ignoring the harsh reality that we see in other places throughout the song. She's looking forward to savoring the experience while continuing to disregard the negative. What drew my eye immediately during this scene was the cat on a flying carpet. I believe that might be part of the theme park aesthetic because I found in Aladdin's carpet ride in Japan. This scene continues to complement the lyrics because of how fantastical it is. We have two seemingly healthier foods represented here, apples and sushi in the form of a roller coaster. Notice I said healthier because apples are often turned into treats at amusement parks, and sushi is actually quite high in calories. The lyrics here seem like something good might be coming, but in reality, it's not so good after all. Mille Foile is a French pastry that literally means 1,000 petals, referring to the many layers of decadent pastry that the dessert contains. This verse denotes false hope and positivity coming from a questionable source. That hope is exaggerated and is downplaying the issue at hand. However, Okayu is happy to overlook it, so long as it fits within a happy narrative. We see the backdrop here become much more uniform. This adds to the idea that good and bad things have begun to blend together in the background, making the bad stuff easier to swallow. The foreground continues to have appealing and indulgent food shown, which could be good because it tastes good, but could also be bad because it can have negative health outcomes in excess. This verse is pretty ironic because this is the first time we see Okayu trying to be cautious, but it's quite clear she doesn't mean it. She is happy to just continue to go along with everything. It's also ironic because Nekomata often shapeshift into humans to trick people, so really it's the listener who should be careful. The food behind Okayu has once again slowed down, and she seems to be gliding along in a carefree manner despite the lyrics saying she's doing a dangerous task. Sure enough, next, we get an ominous scene. The sign actually says Russian onigiri roulette, meaning it's playing a dangerous game to continue to consume and ignore what you're eating. We see Okayu getting poisoned at the end of the classroom scene, indicating that she failed to separate delicacies from poisoned food. So, what does that mean? Well, this verse is probably noting the challenges faced by VTubers and really most celebrities who have nasty rumors told about them, and who often have to separate fake friends from real ones. It is understandable when you're under so much pressure to indulge in a bit of escapism, although again, it is shown here to be ultimately detrimental. She wasn't able to determine who was out to get her and who was there to support her. I like the idea that not only is the audience part of this escapism, the streamer is too. It's like we're all together and ignoring the problems around us, regardless of if we are the content creator or the content consumer. We see a quite similar scene to the one before regarding the mountain spirits, which is continuing the theme of indulgence. Even after a few years of excessive departure from reality, the speaker hopes that you'll still be alright at the end of the day. What's interesting is that the speaker doesn't mention her own survival, giving me a sense that she has resigned herself to her fate. We see Okayu with a rather sinister look on her face, telling you it's your turn to be consumed next. Unlike the tomatoes we saw in the classroom scene, this one is still intact. It implies that you haven't yet become a victim, but you're soon to be one. This stands in contrast with the previous sentiment that the speaker hopes you will be okay. She is saying that she will eat you. Perhaps this is not literal, but rather intended to mean that she will cause you to fall into the same complacency that she has fallen into. However, as I mentioned before, Nekomata do kill people, so it could be a more serious warning. We see Okayu asleep in her own drool, which signifies she has finally succumbed to fantasy. Next, we see her eating a pizza. If you'll recall, this is the same pizza that was used as a clock at the beginning of her song. What this means is that Okayu is literally eating through her time, wasting it away on something fleeting. We then see her in a Pac-Man maze, continuing to consume mindlessly as Pac-Man tends to do. We don't see any ghosts or enemies, implying that Okayu has removed all of the problems of the world from her mind completely. Then she eats the world, implying both that her sense of reality has been fully destroyed, and also that things in the real world are continuing to deteriorate. She is still able to put on a brave face and say that it was a treat, however. If you made it all the way here, please consider giving this video a like. Just one little click will help give me more opportunities to analyze more songs for everyone. I think Mogu Mogu Yummy delivers an important message that's intended to do some good, reminding the people to attend to real-life problems. The point the song is making is that it's much easier to escape to an alternate world than to focus on reality, and the song is a criticism of the tendency to do this in excess. All that from a cute song that uses eating food as a metaphor. I'm happy I was able to do this insightful song some justice. Thanks for watching!